everybody, this is your reading for Thursday the 2nd of November. Thank you for joining me. It's really nice to be with you today. I'm using the Morgan Greer deck for today's reading. Let's have a look at what the cards want you to be aware of. Okay. So this is the Morgan Greer deck, always very straightforward, always very clear. I mean, the symbols and the symbolism in this deck is super straightforward, which is why I would recommend this deck if you're a beginner. Along with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck, the Morgan Greer deck is a really good deck to start out with. So here for Thursday, we have the 8 of Wands, then we have the 10 of Swords and the 5 of Swords. And the 8 of Wands is about news coming in, information being shared, circumstances happening quickly outside of your control, something that is temporary that comes into your life and that has a quick effect. So all of these wands coming in, we've got these big clouds here in the background, the water, everything is about movement. It's about things kind of suddenly appearing and suddenly making an appearance in our lives. So expect some sort of information or some sort of news or some sort of message from another person that may not be welcome. So it could be information that's just the final straw, you know, it's another thing that you have to deal with. You're already dealing with these 9 other swords. This may be another thing that's negative and you're just like, okay, that's enough. Or it may simply be something that makes you feel discouraged. It makes you feel like you've been kind of literally stabbed in the back, or things are going to be difficult for you. But the main thing is this card is the emotional reaction that you have to the information. I mean, we can't really control what goes on in our lives. We can only control how we react to things. So if, for example, you know, you get a message from a partner saying that this relationship isn't working out and you need some space and distance, then that may make you feel like this, but you've got to some extent, you can see it from a different perspective and kind of take the information for what it is without letting it try to affect you like this, okay? The final card is the 5 of Swords, and the 5 of Swords is people fighting. It's people fighting and someone picking up the swords afterwards, and then people being upset that the fight has happened and being remorseful and apologizing, and some people beating other people but being ashamed of it. All sorts of feelings can come up, okay? So on this day, we've got a lot of information floating around. We've got a lot of emotional stuff involved as well. So today is a day of communication, and it's a day of communication where painful truths can be unearthed and can be kind of brought to the light, and you can talk about those things and you can resolve them. So like this situation that I mentioned, so the partner says that this isn't working. Instead of immediately, you know, blowing up and saying, well, I never loved you either, instead of immediately taking that a defensive kind of stance to it and letting it crush you emotionally, which obviously would be something that, you know, could happen. Instead of doing that, if you look at the information and you say, well, why don't we discuss this and why don't we look at it reasonably, rather than letting it all just pile on top of you and just say, I can't do this anymore, it's too much. Instead of having that response, if you try and communicate things, you may see things clearer. It doesn't mean you have a happy outcome at the end of it. You could have a happy outcome. You could feel that like you resolve the issue that brought this up, or you decide mutually to really have a frank discussion and to say, you know, why are things difficult? What's going on here? And you can talk things out, and at least you could get some resolution from it. You could get some understanding around what's happening, and then it's going to be easier to accept whatever is going on. So the main thing that I get is to quit taking it personally. I saw this online, I don't know, a couple of months ago. Someone carries a Q-tip around with them, which stands for quit taking it personally. And I tried that, and it's really useful because a lot of the things that happen really aren't about us, but we take them very personally. And this is a situation where a fact of life comes into your situation today, that it could be news about a relationship, like I said. It could be something that you say in passing. It could be some stupid remark or something. It could be information that you're going to be transferred to another place of work. It could be information, anything that's out of your control that can come to you via the external world. It can come in. And that's really the unchangeable fact today. The instant jump to reaction is going to be, oh, I feel terrible about this. But if you actually engage with the process, instead of, because the swords represent thoughts and ideas and communication, instead of sticking all of these swords in your own back and saying, okay, I have to move to Alaska, I am now going to be in the cold and I feel, like life is over and it's all finished. Instead of immediately going to the extreme with your own thinking and doing this to yourself to some degree, why not chat to someone else about it and communicate about it, and then lighten the load? You see, we've only got 5 swords left here. We've got 10 swords. So it's about information that's quite heavy. We've got an 8. That comes in. You either have the choice of letting it totally crush you and letting it totally take over your day, taking over your life, and it's like, okay, this is just impossible. Or you can say, okay, this is less than ideal, but rather I'm going to react to it later on. I'm going to reserve the reaction until later. And instead of reacting first, I'm going to look at what I can actually do about it. So can I call the person who's transferred me, or put in a claim or something, or do you have a voice in this? Can you try and get it resolved another way? Or if you have a partner, can you go into counseling? Are they willing to do that? Is it something that can be resolved? And as long as you take it on board on that level, because not all all news in life and all the things that we experience every day aren't positive. So if you have something like that, rather than just saying, okay, I'm the victim, I've been persecuted, look at me, I'm down in the snow, it's all over, finished. Instead of having that reaction, you say, okay, we're somewhat embattled here. People aren't happy, feelings have been hurt, mine, other people's. Let's see how we can resolve this before the day is done. That's going to tidy things up a little bit. It's going to at least get to a place of resolution. This person is going to get up in a few minutes and walk off. That person is already pointing somewhere and doing something else. And, that's going to be finished and resolved. And it's by communicating and with engaging with the process that you can actually do something about it, instead of just saying, oh, poor me, this is the only person, I'm the only person in this who this has happened to, and everything's terrible. So it's a matter of perspective. Life tends to we tend to take life too seriously anyway. So if something comes in, try not to take it so personally. Also, the serenity prayer is really good in this kind of thing. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay? So we can't change the information coming in, but we can change the reaction to it. And we can look at whether this is something that we have to accept, or whether there's a resolution. And if you look for the resolution and there is one, then that's the way forward. Number-wise, we've got 8 and 10 is 18, and 5 is 23. 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 is freedom. So this is actually a situation, sometimes, again, we don't know what's good and bad. When something happens, when information comes in and it seems bad to us, like a relationship ending, in the long term, we don't know whether that's good or bad. I remember when I got accepted into my teacher training course, at the time, I thought that was great news, but looking back on that wasn't such good news. So again, ultimately, this day, whatever is happening, even though it may not feel good, look good, ultimately it leads to you having more freedom in your life, And we've got a 5 in here as well. So the key to the freedom, the key to resolving the situation is by talking it out, by using your ideas, your intellect, by thinking, and by talking to other people about it. That's the way to take a negative and turn it into a positive. So I hope that gives you an idea of what you're working with. If you would like a private reading with me, then please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab to order your reading. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.